Tanya, I must say, first of all, it's a great pleasure to have you here as a Grayling colleague to talk about the TV debate from last night. TV debates, of course, are my old stomping ground. I vividly remember the 2010 debates, which were a huge deal. I think both of us went into last night with somewhat lower expectations, and broadly speaking, fair to say they were confirmed?
Yeah, no one's going to be using this as a training manual for future debates, and I'm not sure it's going to have the same impact as those 2010 debates did. I thought both of the candidates were tetchy, they were a bit bad-tempered and ill-humoured, and I'm not sure either of them really landed very much in the way of message, although Sunak did land the £2,000 extra in tax for each household, which I think Starmer should have made clear was a lie from the get-go.
So I think that Labour are going to come under pressure now on that £2,000 tax, and I wouldn't actually be that surprised if we saw a slight tightening of the polls. So a bit of pressure on Keir Starmer and Labour over the next few days.
Yeah.
But how do you think, I think he should have shown a bit of indignation. He talked about the Tory record on all sorts of issues, not so much on tax, oddly. He should have said, hang on, who is Rishi Sunak to lecture me on tax when he has presided over an administration that's seen whatever it is, the highest increase in personal tax rates in generations and so on and so forth, and took the battle back to the Conservative leader?
Yeah, you should have done his media training, because he said it once, but he could have said it many more times. 26 tax rises in the last 14 years, highest tax burden for 70 years. He allowed Sunak to hold the upper ground when it came to the conversation around tax. As I said, from the get-go, he should have said, this is not true. Now, what we've seen is this Conservative claim unravelling quite a lot this morning, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough. All the papers led with it today. If it is got into the public imagination, I'm not sure what comes out today is going to make a difference to what they took from last night's debate and from this morning's papers.
So I guess if you're a party leader going into this debate, you're particularly focusing on undecided voters, or perhaps those who don't know that much about you, Keir Starmer, or Rishi Sunak as a leader. I think, we obviously know these two individuals well, so it's hard for us to put ourselves in those shoes. But I tend to think there wasn't that much in that debate that would send anybody skipping to the ballot box with a spring in their step. It was quite underwhelming and perhaps overscripted. Was some of that to do with the format, do you feel?
Yeah, I felt the format really didn't allow for there to be much back and forth. Actually, if you ever watch Prime Minister's questions, when there isn't a proper exchange, I think they both perform better in that. I think this format doesn't allow for it, and I think they were much too rehearsed, too overscripted, so they were each prepared to land their messages. They weren't as good at how do I respond to what the person's just said. I think Keir Starmer needs to stop calling him the Prime Minister.
Deferential.
Because it is too deferential, and it positions, of course, Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister. For the purpose of this debate, he's the leader of the Conservative Party. He's a candidate for Prime Minister, and Starmer needs to remember that. And I think he just needs to be much more able and swifter at saying, no, that's not right.
One thing for me, it's not a great sign if, for me, the most resonant line of the debate was actually read out by Julie Etchingham from a sort of Institute for Fiscal Studies press release, where they were basically saying that the party leaders, or that none of the main parties, are being straight with people about the scale of the challenges and the trade-offs that confront us. I do think that maybe, the sort of Theresa May attempt to tackle head-on social care during that election campaign that went so disastrously awry hangs heavy over this campaign, because it does feel as though nobody really is grappling with the fact that this is going to be difficult, and instead they come up with rather glib, easy answers. Growth, everybody says, growth, great, so they're done. Or like on the Stop the Boats, smash the gangs. Oh, that's a great idea. Why didn't anybody think of that before? And I personally, as a voter, I would prefer politicians to level with us, but they just don't feel able to at the moment, perhaps because they are fearful of what happened to Theresa May.
Yeah, and I think that no politicians currently trust voters to have any levels of understanding, of sophistication, to be able to get that these are complex things. Voters get that. They know it's tough, and I think that they would appreciate a bit more candour and honesty. But as you say, one of the things I'm really worried about this election is that apathy and voter mistrust of politicians will be the ultimate winner, and I'm afraid that this this debate will kind of fulfil some of that.
Well, Nigel Farage wasn't mentioned last night, but actually he, in the respect that you're talking about, he does hang very heavily over this campaign now.
Yeah, he absolutely does. The Conservatives in particular will be very, very scared about him, but Labour ought to make sure that they're thinking about what he's like to say about them and about some of the core issues that they are campaigning around.
And of course, he's going to feature as we head into more debates coming up. I think he's likely to be on the one at the back end of this week. In any case, I'm sure we will both watch that and look forward to chatting about it more in the future.